somewhere there's a guy going, "You're not allowed to say naughty and box." You know, that's the world we live in. But we've got the naughtiest of naughty boxes. That sounds terrible. It's not at all true. Hey Jeep family, Neil with Simpson Family Jeeps, SFJ4x4.com, and I'm shooting today from within my personal garage where there's nothing shy of 38,000 projects going on at any given time. But one of the things that a number of people have talked about, besides our used Jeep buying guide or guidelines, is our naughty box of products or broken items. And so a lot of people who have been watching our YouTube channel or are on our Facebook or Instagram have really enjoyed the educational pieces of SFJ. And we like to think that as part of our business model, we are here to educate the everyday Jeeper so that we all as a community can make better and more informed decisions. So one of the things that we have in our showroom at our facility in Conneaut, Ohio, is what we call the naughty box. And the naughty box is this dilapidated cardboard box. I'm sure one of these days, one of us will put together a better box to store this stuff in. But basically it has broken bearings and failed shims and bolts that we've never seen wear out the way they've worn out, and seals that should be sealing that are doing anything but that. And we have all these parts and pieces, and we have them available so that we can pull them out and show our customers and our fellow Jeep enthusiasts exactly what we're seeing and why things need replaced, and why when we make decisions regarding parts, why one part might be better than another. So some years ago, we actually did a live video, actually a series of live videos, where I went through a number of these parts and pieces that have failed or been broken or just flat out weren't good at doing what they were supposed to do. And people really enjoyed that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start a mini series here on YouTube and dig through that naughty box and uncover some of those parts and pieces and tell you, our YouTubers, why these parts are no good, why we choose other parts, and how to prevent some of the failures that we see every day in our Jeep and off-road vehicles. All right, the naughty box is this cardboard box, and I'm just amazed at how well it's held together. And there is a lot of goodies in here. I absolutely abhor those. I showed you the really noisy Dana 300 bearing. That's a main shaft bearing, and that's junk. This, if you know what that is, then you are obviously a XJ or a YJ or maybe even a TJ customer or Jeep enthusiast, and that is part of a rigid Z linkage. So we got lots of goodies. Oh, JL customers, prepare to know what that is in the very near future, and all of the joys that this will not bring you. And that is just, huge design flaw in that one. But lots and lots of goodie stuff in there. So we need to go ahead and pick out something specific. And what is this doing in here? I am sure there's a very good reason why this is in here, and I'm looking. I don't know why this is in here now, but there's a very good reason. Move that one away. Oh, here's a gem. JK Dana 44 Posi rear end. I can't believe how many customers come in and say, well, when I'm going to get a re-gear, I don't need a traction device in the rear. I don't need a locker. I don't need a limited slip. I've got the factory one. Well, I can tell you the factory one, it doesn't hold up great. Not to say that it can't be built to be more robust. Oh, that's a good one there. It's like a medieval torture device, but oh, here's one. Oh, hey, should be that should be a JL throwout bearing. However, this is a 18 or 19 JL Rubicon, JLUR, and it is about as dry, gritty, and worn out already as, I don't know, as I've seen on 40, 50-year-old Jeeps. So we'll dig in here, get an idea of what we can work with, and bring something cool to you as far as what and why it's made it into our naughty box. So before I go any further, I have to add an edit to this because I threw this over there and it reminded me only after I had tossed it away that on our 5 things about buying a used TJ Wrangler, probably the number one angry comment or the charged up comment are from the ZJ Grand Cherokee guys, the 93 to 98 guys, and they're all like, ZJs were the first vehicle with coils in every corner, and because I made the statement that Wranglers were, and the thing is, the ZJ guys should get some love because they're right, and the ZJ platform also had the hard Z linkage for the shifting. It was terrible design. It worked one time, and that's when it came off the factory line after that vehicle was brand new, and in the new Jeep owner's driveway, this thing basically stopped working, and certainly after a couple winters in the Rust Belt, it started to look like this. But made me think, big shout out to the ZJ guys. Don't want to deny you your moment as well, so I'm going to say this piece is XJ, YJ, ZJ, and eventually TJ. Here's your 10 seconds in the limelight, ZJ guys. Still junk. So as I dig into this box here, it reminds me of a lot of fun things that we could talk about, and that's a very good one that actually goes hand in hand with that, and that is, again, for those JK customers out there. They have a good yoke seal surface. Could definitely talk more about that. And if you've known me for any period of time, you know that oddly enough, I have a real thing for U-joints, and the seemingly simple thing that they are, but the amazing amount of technology that goes into how they work, and amazingly how robust some are and how junky some are. But what I think I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about that guy, and I'm going to talk about this guy because let me get that out of the way. I'm going to talk about these because they seem to be so well loved, and here's one that's going to hurt. Here's one's going to hurt. I dislike these about as much as I dislike Patagonia tires, and I know right now there are 101 people watching this right now who are just like, oh, he said he doesn't like the Patagonias. So it's not that I really dislike Patagonias. They are a fair tire for the price point. This product, if you know exactly what you're getting when you are using this product, again, it's got a place for certain Jeepers, but there's a whole classification of products out there that are just belligerently or blatantly over marketed or oversold. This particular set of seals, I will absolutely admit, we sold to a customer about 6 years ago. So go back in dreamland, and we had a customer who thought these were really cool because of their cool color, and a lot of people do. And we put these onto the customer's Jeep, and it was a brand new build, or reasonably speaking, a brand new build. And he had 1 season on these, 1 season. So, you know, 1 summer wheeling experience. And we can see that the inner seal has blown apart, that it's no longer sitting in there true or center. And what we discovered was that where we are geographically near the Great Lakes, we have a very sandy, silty, particulate-based water and mud. And what happens is this seal will allow that fine particulate past, and then it has no way to exit the axle tube, or doesn't exit as easily. And what ended up happening with this particular customer, again, it was a brand new vehicle or a brand new build, axle build. Probably didn't have 3,000 miles on it because he only had them on for a single season. And he came back in, and his inner axle seal was leaking. So those of you who don't know what this product is, or maybe I should start there, is these actually are inserted at the outermost position of your front axle. So your Dana 30, your Dana 44 front steer axles. These get pounded into the tube. So there's this little serrated area here that is rubber, and it pounds into the tube, and this sticks out. And if this was the front of the Jeep here, you would put that grease nipple out so that you could apply grease. Now, the interesting piece is then you slide your axle shaft in, and inside here, this would be a double lip seal, and inside is a channel or a journal that is supposed to create a hydraulic seal based on the utilization of grease. So the idea is you slide your axle shaft in, and then you pump this full of grease, and grease should create the surrounding area around the axle shaft. And at that point in time, it's supposed to not allow particulate or debris down the axle tube. Now, there's 2 primary problems with this design. One, most seal surfaces on virtually all vehicles, all applications, should be a machined, smooth, precision fit surface. Where this is riding on the axle shaft is not that. The precision piece of the axle shaft is actually inboard in the inner axle portion down here at the inner portion of the axle tube, if you had that all kind of set out like that. Out here is a non-machined, non-precision, varied size. So depending on what axle shaft you have, if it's an old used axle shaft or whether it's an aftermarket product, it could vary in size. So we have a seal that's not actually made for the size of the axle shaft. The axle shaft itself is not machined where the seal rides. And so you obviously get this wear or tear, deterioration out of this seal itself. And again, this is supposed to be, this outer seal and this inner seal are theoretically supposed to be close enough for horseshoes and hand grenades. And the idea is that the actual sealing is accomplished via a hydraulic seal of the grease. And so you're supposed to pump so much grease in there that it just starts to puff out behind the seal. Not actually blow out of the seal, but just kind of swell it just a little bit. And then that grease would create the barrier that doesn't allow the particulate to head down the axle tube assembly. So first problem I have is the fact that, you know, seal is not precision fit, and, you know, there's, I don't know, 10 different axle shaft manufacturers out there, and you could have a varying degree of size, wear, and age on the axle shafts before they get inserted into this seal. So first problem is a user, you know, may or may not be aware of how this seal works, and their axle shaft might not be perfectly set for them. The next problem I have, and you could kind of remedy that if you had a special axle shaft with a machine surface and it was a nice smooth bore, rotating, it doesn't rip up the seal like this. The second problem I have is that based on this kind of design, again, specifically where we live in the Great Lakes region, the water and the mud actually has a very fine sand or grit or particulate to it. Glacial sediment, if you are into rocks, and glacial sediment deposits. I'm sorry, that should be the glacial sediment deposit. Somewhere out there, there is a geological person watching this, and they're like, the glaciers deposited. Somebody will correct me on that. Anyways, so that fine liquid sand can permeate the seal surface, regardless of how good we have it sealed here, and still wreak havoc, because what happens is it gets in when it's carried in through water, or pushed in with a little bit of pressure as the Jeep goes down under the mud or down into a water crossing. The pressure pushes past this seal. That fine water and sand goes in, and now it gets trapped in the axle tube. As soon as the Jeep comes up out of that obstacle, the water drains out, and it leaves all of that sedimentary deposit in the axle tube itself. So when we removed this, I mean, you can't see it very well here. I mean, we have tried to clean these over the years so that they weren't so greasy in our hands. We cleaned them up pretty good, but this tube was caked, was absolutely caked with this murky, muddy, concretey sand and gear oil mixture. Again, brand new axle build, reasonably good axle shafts that were installed in here. Again, they didn't have a machine surface. 6-7 years ago, we didn't know better, honestly. Then these products were hot. Everybody wanted them. They were fun. They were color coded, and this beautiful Jeep just had wheeled a couple times, a lot of road time, had blown out the inner seals because basically this tube had packed full of gunk and blown out the inner axle seal. And again, the customer was none the wiser. It was just the fact that we started to see some trickling of gear oil finally permeate, you know, pushing past the seal and coming out, because all of the gear oil had built up and was riding on top of that concretey, sandy, silty deposit that was stuck in the axle tube. And so the place where I see that this product actually excels is if you're out west and you've got bigger, pebbly, big obstacle, you know, things that you don't want a big rock coming up and heading down your axle tube and marring up your axle shaft. If you've got a custom set of axle shafts that have a smooth bore that's used here, and you can make sure that you take care of that seal surface. This seal surface, you can see, is peeled away as well. Then these might be good if you're out west and looking good. Also, you know, those folks in the south who just, you know, want to look fly, put their lights on, this looks pretty. I'm here for that as well. I've got a couple mall crawlers in my in my repertoire, and I know right now somebody's going, well, you can replace that seal. Yes, you can. You're absolutely right. There's a little C ring here, and you would just pinch that. That ring comes out, and you replace this seal structure. But don't forget, you have to break down your axle. You have to pull your axle shafts. You then have to pull this out, and then replace your seals. This product is still available on the market. You know, again, there's a time and a place for it, but certainly I see more customers than not these cause problems. I see people on forums, on, you know, the book of faces talking about these and issues they may have had. They're completely unaware that these probably aided in the problems that they do have at this point. But I definitely think this is good for our naughty box, because I would rate this product pretty naughty and kind of mischievous, because it's pretty, it looks good. It definitely, you can point under your Jeep and be like, yeah, I got my axles built. And that's the problem. I mean, doing gears, you want to brag to your friends, but you really can't show them anything. Whereas at least you got this hanging out on there. You're like, yeah, that's fly. That and a sexy diff cover. You can be like, yeah, I got my axle built. But not really friendly for the everyday off-roader. Certainly not a great long-term product. And one of our favorite mods when we do build axles are sleeve kits. And there is not a way to have a sleeve kit properly installed and have these. So, just all around, not my favorite mod for a functional off-roader. Definitely naughty, definitely kind of a mischievous naughty, because they look fly, but they don't kind of pack the punch we would hope them to have. Great in theory, bad in follow through. All right, Jeep family, if you kind of like going through the naughty box, make sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell again, and turn on the notifications. Give us a call at our facility, 440-813-3663, extension number 1. Look us up on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. Find one of us. We actually are all diehard Jeep enthusiasts. And if you have these on your Jeep and you love them, let us know. Write to us in the comments. If you've had these and you have a horror story, totally let us know. We try to respond back to as many comments as possible. And if you did like the video, make sure you say something, and we'll go through the naughty box some more. If you have a keen eye and you saw something in there that you want to know more about, or if you have a technical product that broke and maybe you have questions about why it happened and we don't have it in the naughty box, let us know. And maybe we'll make a video and kind of explain to you and to the greater YouTube community our take and our thoughts on it, based on tons and tons and tons of Jeeps that come through our door every day. So until then, we thank you so much for being part of the Jeep family. Make sure you share this video and follow us and all those social media platforms. Until then, Jeep on.